So welcome back to the classroom in my living room. I'm sitting here with Henry Skolnick, who no doubt will come to visit once he hears me talking. So chapter 9 takes place in the winter of 1938, after the night of the broken glass. This is probably December, January. It's a very short chapter, but shows us some profound truths about how people respond to hardship. I mean, we have Misha, the gypsy orphan, who doesn't understand the dark forces. He doesn't understand if it's good or bad to be a gypsy or a Jew. We see the civilians, the lady who called Misha, who's just a little boy, a dirty Jew. We see Yuri trying to teach Misha not to waste food, and also to teach him about altruism and to cultivate that quality of character. Altruism is the selfless concern for the well-being of others, generosity, kindness. And then we meet Dr. Janis Korchek, who took care of Jewish orphans in the ghetto. He worked closely with Irina Sendler and the Zabinskis. There's a movie called The Zookeeper's Wife, which is about the Zabinski family. And there's this wonderful scene in the movie where a truck backs up into the ghetto, and you see, children are being smuggled out of the ghetto, out of Dr. Korchek's orphanage, put in the truck, which looks like a kind of like a garbage truck, and smuggled out of the ghetto into the homes of righteous children. In some books say that Janis Korchek saved, 2,500 Jewish children. But I do know this. He was an author, he was a teacher, he was a defender of children's rights. He worked at a children's hospital in Warsaw where he was born. And shortly after that, he started the orphanage. And at the end, when he was in Treblinka concentration camp, he was offered sanctuary and a way out, but that was negotiated through the underground. But he denied it, and he went to his death with I think it was 192 or 196 children. So he's a very, very important person. And I also want you to notice that Misha does not see himself as an orphan at all. Okay, so let's take a look at chapter 9. It's very short. Okay, here we go. Winter. They came in the night. I heard them above us, shouts, laughter, glass smashing, the hair tonic bottles, all the beautiful colors. Yuri hauled me out of bed. Coat, coat. I felt in the dark for my coat. Shoes. I grabbed my shoes. He dragged me to the hatch door that opened from the cellar to the backyard. Run, he said when we got outside. I wouldn't move. My candy. He smacked me. We ran. Shouts behind us. Gunshots. The yellow stone bouncing at my throat. We ran for a long time, stopped to put our shoes on, and we ran. We came to jagged walls of a bombed-out building. We picked our way through the rubble. Glass glittered in the moonlight. Frost sparkled on tumbled bricks and fallen timbers. Yuri took my hand. We went down into the rumble. Yuri felt around, found a place. Okay, he said, sleep. Please notice how loving and nurturing Yuri is at this point in the novel. Still, he really maintains that. I slept, I dreamed I was standing underwater, a waterfall maybe, a faucet, splashing in my face, on my eyes. I struggled to breathe. I woke up. Above me, at the edge of the rubble, stood a boy with school books strapped over his shoulder, blue sky above him, a boy laughing, urinating in my face. Get out, Yuri shouted, and threw a brick. The boy vanished. We went from that place to another and another. We slept in many places. All were cold. Sometimes I awoke with snow in my ear. Never again. This is important. Never again did we sleep in beds or sit in chairs or reach into an icebox for food. We walked the streets. Yuri kept looking about. Sometimes he pulled me quickly into a doorway or a dark space between buildings. We did not go into any shop with a star on its window. Whenever I heard a horse, I looked to see if it was Greta. Yuri had to go farther and farther to find pickles. He continued to find cans of meats and vegetables, jars of fruit, and peanuts. He always took 2 of each. Candy he stole just for me. When I found a hazelnut buttercream, I could hardly chew it for laughing. I used to see the brown paper bread bags everywhere I went. Now there were not so many. One day when I snatched a loaf of bread, the lady called after me, "Stop, dirty Jew!" I stopped. I turned and faced her. I shouted back as sternly as I could, "I'm not a dirty Jew. I'm a gypsy. My name is Misha Pilsudski." She threw her hands in the air. She called out to the people on the sidewalk, "Dirty gypsy, stop him." She started running toward me. The brown snout of her fox fur bounced up and down on her shoulder. I'd never gotten angry at a bread lady before. I turned the bag upside down and dumped the loaf to the ground. I jumped on it with both feet. I kicked it into the street. I laughed at the running lady and shouted, "Dirty bread lady," and sped away. The next day, I stole 5 loaves. As I snatched each one, I shouted my name into the face of the person. "Misha Pilsudski, Misha Pilsudski, Misha Pilsudski, Misha Pilsudski, Misha Pilsudski." "You cuckoo," said Yuri when I got back. "It's too much. You're wasting." He took 4 of the loaves. "I'll give it to the orphans." "What are orphans?" I said. "Children without parents," he said. "Like you?" "Like me, like Kuba, like all of us. Except for me," I said. "I have a mother and father and 7 brothers and 5 sisters." "I forgot," he said, "except for you." So this is extremely important. I mean, he really does not see himself as an orphan, and he believes the story that Yuri gave him. He believes um, in that fictional tale about having the horse Greta and all of those other details. I want you to think about why he believes it. Why does he need to believe it? And how does that belief serve him? How does it help him? We took the bread to the orphans. They lived in a large square house of gray stone. Yuri rang the bell. The door opened. Yuri said, "Dr. Korchek, here is bread for the orphans." The man looked at us. He was bald. The hair that was not on the top of his head seemed to have fallen to the bottom of his face, as he had a dense white mustache and a goatee like a broom. He smiled and nodded. "Thank you," he said. I peered into the dimness behind him, trying to catch sight of an orphan, but he was closing the door. I had an idea. The next day I snatched 2 loaves of bread. One I gave to Yuri. The other I took to the house of Janina, the girl. It snowed overnight. Brown stubble poked through the white blanket covering the garden. I pushed the snow from the top step. I set the loaf down, knocked on the door, and ran. The next day I came back to look. The bread was gone. That's how it started. So Elie Wiesel, who is another great being, when he was asked why he thought he survived being in a concentration camp, he said the first reason he gave was because he wanted to bear witness. And the second reason was because he had people to care for. And even though some of those people were not members of his biological family, having someone to care for kept him alive. And I think you see this here. You see Yuri is teaching Misha to care for others. He's teaching him to be benevolent. He's teaching him to be altruistic. And that gives Misha a sense of purpose. It gives him what we have often spoken about, a single pointed purpose. And I think that is one of the hallmarks of a great being. I mean, this boy is only 8 years old. Maybe he's 8, 9 years old. And he is demonstrating qualities of character of a great being. At the same time, he does demonstrate characteristics of being a bystander. But we know that that's how the paradigm works. So do a little research on your own about the Night of Broken Glass, about Kristallnacht. The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum has some excellent articles. and video about that night, and also about Janis Korchek. Who was he, and why was he a great being? All right. Any questions about anything? I'll see you on Zoom on Thursday, or you can email me, and look forward to seeing you soon.